Hello, good morning, and welcome to today's edition of the program TVC Breakfast. My name is Etoma Edu.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. I am Veronica Danny Boy.
Top of the morning, Nigeria. Good morning. Thanks for joining us as TVC Breakfast. I am Ria Abdul.
Right. This morning, it's looking like but surely it will get complete of the program. And like we rightly pointed out, we have an array of issues we'll be looking at this morning. We're talking flooding and our preparedness to addressing that, as well as Taiwan's comments on Nigeria's relations and visit to St. Lucia. So let's begin with this story where President Bola Tinubu has called for a re-evaluation of the current global governance structure and the financial and healthcare systems. President Tinubu is seeking greater equity and inclusion for low-income and emerging economies, particularly in Africa. At the 17th meeting of the Global South and the Emerging Economics Bloc in Brazil, the president says environmental degradation, climate crisis, and healthcare inequalities should receive more attention as they contribute to slowing growth and development. Nigeria became the 9th partner country of BRICS in January 2025, joining Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Thailand, Uganda, and Uzbekistan.
The African continent is creating the path through the African Carbon Market Initiative and Great Green Wall. We believe that eventually COP30 will strengthen our resolve to strategically embrace a healthy global environment. Nigeria strongly believes in South-South cooperation. We can therefore not be passive participants in global decision-making. Financial restructuring, debt forgiveness, climate change, environmental and global healthcare.
Right, we know that the president actually aligned Nigeria with the BRICS system for more global representation. And he has also said that that developing countries can no longer be bystanders when we're talking about global representation, developments, and issues that he rightly pointed out can be slowed down development in the countries. When you talk about the healthcare system, when you're talking about inequalities around it, remember even COVID-19, this matter sprang up where we saw countries, getting all the vaccines while developing countries were still waiting to receive theirs. And then people began to understand that there was this alignment with developed countries focusing on themselves as against developing countries and all of it, and that there wasn't as much representation. And then when you further look at the matters of COP and all of the numbers they have tried to addressing those matters, when you're talking about environmental challenges, developed countries have talked about contributing monies to developing countries to addressing the matters of climate change, but you do not see as much of their commitment to even ensuring that they deliver on these monies that they have promised to contribute for countries like Nigeria and across Africa to addressing these matters of climate change.
Yes, when I listened to what he had to say, I said, okay, this sounds like the tax reform that we just had, where the poorer people are taxed less and the richer people are taxed more. His argument is solid. These are things that we have seen over and over again, and we are wondering, when will it end? I want to attribute this to his characteristic courage. He wants to be the first person to say what every other person is running away from. And I now wonder why the United States is not happy about countries like Nigeria and the rest joining the BRICS summit, because we're going to, we might have a 10% slam on tariffs because of this. It is a big thing for President Tinubu to go there and talk like a president. It's a big thing for him to go there, and moreover, he now looks like the representative, the voice of the developing countries. And that's good for Nigeria. Diplomatically, he is doing well. His visit to St. Lucia was one of those, and now he is talking for Africa. That's great.
Interesting. When you're talking about sustainable development in countries like Nigeria and other developing countries, we have had SDG goals put together by the UN and every other bodies to ensure that we have some sort of structure towards ensuring development. But it seems like we are still very far because we are not getting as much representation and support that we need.
But you know, it's simple. Africa needs a seat on the table. That's all we're saying. And if you look at it over a period of time, these Western countries, they all come together, make decisions, and then now come back and give us aid. But we're saying that we want to be part of those conversations. We want to partner with those conversations. And I really give the president the accolades for that. Going out to speak as such and saying that we need to be heard. We need to partner with you people. We don't just want to sit back, you make your decisions, and then you come to us and say that, okay, this is what you have made, this is what you want to give to us. Because some of those times, those things do not even get to us. So I really give him the accolades for that. And I love the fact that we're having like global representation. You can see that his governance is like bringing some more of global people together, because the Brazilian president was here some time. We saw what happened at St. Lucia. Now look at what is happening again. So this is something that I pray that we're able to get representation. Africa finally gets the seat on the table, which they really deserve.
Africa has always had the seat on the table. It is how the Africa positions itself, because the resources these people use for their development, they can't get it from Africa. So and so Africa goes back cap in hand asking for resources. That's why a number of these countries are neck deep in debt to some of these bodies and countries. I think that it is Africa, it behoves Africa to reposition herself. Look for perhaps homegrown solutions to addressing your challenges. When you're talking about climate change, what are you doing to build resilience? When you're talking about healthcare and all of it, what are you doing to stop the migration of your personnel, healthcare personnel, from moving to other countries? When you're talking about vaccines, what are you doing in terms of research to also ensure that even if these persons are saying, oh, we are not considering you yet, we have a solution in the interim to addressing whatever challenges. COVID-19 was that lesson we should have learned, to see that African countries come together to say, you know what, let us build something. And against being, oh, this is my country, that's your country. We have African Union. How are they championing such causes? That is where I want to see the African Union begin to say, you know what, in these areas that we're talking about, proper representation on the global table, we need to start looking inward. Maybe if they see that our resources, we are using our resources for ourselves, as against just handing it over to them and then going back to them, cap in hand, to help us, we will do something, and they will realize, oh, we understand what we have, and we can then begin to negotiate on our own terms. It
is funny because the largest producer of chocolates, for example, in the world, does not grow one tree of cocoa. They get it from us, you know, as raw material. Go there, produce the chocolates, and they send the chocolates back. And one bar of chocolate, put it side by side, two pods of cocoa. It's by far more expensive. Look, this is a wake-up call to Africans, and that's why I'm happy that it's the Nigerian president that is making the noise first. You know, it's a wake-up call. It's about time we saw that we are bigger than getting aids from who. These guys come here to. We know about the palm fruits and the story that goes around it. Why do we give our raw materials out? Some years back, the federal government celebrated exporting yam. You know, look, we just have to stop what we are doing and start thinking of adding value to what we already have. And creating a market for it.
Absolutely, and we'll have to leave the conversation here now. We'll take a breather. When we return, it will be time for the newspaper review. Stay with us.